Okay, all right. So, hi everyone. Thank you for joining us. We're here to talk about the volunteer orientation for the Transfer Station Food Scraps Recycling Program. And my name is Pippa Bell-Ader, and I am the team leader of the Sustainable Westport Zero Food Waste Challenge. And we also have Pete Rakovich with us, the Director of Public Works. So you may wonder, why are we here? The goal of the Zero Food Waste Challenge is to reduce residential food waste by 25% or more. And the town believes that residents will be able to do this more with the opportunity to recycle their food scraps. To that end, Westport is opening a food scraps recycling drop-off area at the transfer station on July 6th. And why is Westport focused on this goal? Well, the town has an overarching goal to go net zero by the year 2050. And that is, it means that the town has reduced its impact across energy, water, and waste so that all of those are sustainably managed.
And this is Pete Rakovich, Director of Public Works. So you may ask yourself, why is this important? And that's because 20% of Connecticut's residential solid waste is or trash is food waste. Food waste is heavy, it's expensive to burn because we're burning water. In the waste to energy incinerator, that's the Wheeler Grader plant in Bridgeport, where we send all of our waste.
So I'm just going to talk a little bit about the Zero Food Waste Challenge. This is an initiative that challenges residents to take a look at the food they are wasting, and then to plan and prepare meals and preserve food to minimize food waste. And then whatever food waste is left over, and there will be some, that is made into compost. And we have 3 opportunities for composting. You can home compost. You can pay to have a food scraps hauler pick up your compost at your home, or you can go to the food scraps recycling drop-off area starting July 6th, and this is free. The food scraps will be collected at the transfer station, which is located at 300 Sherwood Island Connector, and then all the food scraps will be transported to an industrial composting facility and made into compost. And then a final component of the program is food rescue, which we'll discuss briefly at the end. So, how are we going about doing this program? Well, we have 14 organizations that are partnering with us, and they're getting the word out for us, and we cannot thank all of them enough. And I would venture to guess that the participants on this webinar are affiliated with at least these organizations. So thank you. And the question, why are you here? You are watching this webinar because you want to volunteer, and we very much appreciate that. So the goal today is to teach you how to guide the residents through the drop-off process, and also you need to know the safety rules so nobody gets hurt. Just to be clear, you're going to find that there are residents who have no idea what this program is about, and then you're going to get the other residents who are interested in the program. They've already started collecting their food scraps, but they may have questions or they may need guidance. So pretty much everything you need to know about the food scraps recycling program can be found on this flyer. And the link to the flyer is on the Sustainable Westport website, and you'll be able to access this webinar afterwards also on the website. And just a reminder, as you can see, the program doesn't actually formally start until July 6th. So the flyer is going to tell the residents what they can collect, how to collect the food scraps, and where to bring them. And it also talks about the starter kits that can be used to collect food scraps, And there will be a plexiglass holder for the flyers at the transfer station, and you will be encouraged to give these flyers out to residents so that they will have information about the program. So how does this work? Residents will collect the food scraps at home in a container, then place them in a lidded container to bring to the transfer station, and then they'll empty the contents into a large green toter. How the residents collect their food scraps is really up to them. They do not have to use a starter kit, but residents may choose to use the starter kit because it can make the collection a little bit easier. So Earth Place, in coordination with the town, is selling the starter kits for $25. And for those people who are income eligible, the kits are free as long as funding continues. So the kits consist of a countertop pail, that's the one with the light green lid, a roll of BPI certified compostable bags, which can be used to line the countertop pail. And there's also a green transportation bin, the larger one. And then you can put all the bags or the scraps into the green transportation bin. In order to get the starter kit, we're asking people to email compost@westportct.gov. A word about the bags. So many people will choose to line the countertop pail with a bag. People don't have to. They can collect food scraps in a paper bag, or they can collect the food scraps directly into the pail. It's up to them. The only thing we ask is that when they transport the food to the transfer station, that they do it in a lidded container. We don't want any accidents. But the important thing to remember is that the bags need to, if they're going to be used, they have to be BPI compostable. That's because plastic bags or even biodegradable bags that are not BPI compostable are not accepted at the commercial composting facilities. And biodegradable, those bags may break down, but they may just break down into smaller pieces of plastic. So compostable bags are made out of plant material and they will become compostable. And the BPI stands for Biodegradable Products Institute, and that's the standard that Westport is using. So the nice thing about this program is that all food scraps are accepted, which means you can put bones, meat, fish, cheese, oils, fats, eggs, and fruits, vegetables, leftovers, you name it. Anything food related can go into this recycling. And that's because all of this food is going to be brought to a commercial composting facility where the temperatures get very hot and all this will degrade. Just a word of caution, do not put animal-based products in your home composter because the temperature does not get hot enough, and you don't really want to be attracting animals or anything like that. So there are a few items that are accepted that are not exactly food, but they're still accepted, such as tea bags and coffee grinds, and the paper coffee filters are fine. Paper towels and napkins are accepted as long as they are used for food and not used to clean up with chemicals. So if anything's been used to wipe something with Lysol, for instance, it should not end up in the food scraps recycling. And if you're not sure, the best thing is, when in doubt, throw it out.
So now we're going to go over what can and cannot be recycled. There's no real need to memorize all of this because this sign that you're looking at right now will be a 4x6 sign that's sitting right over the drop-off area. So, you know, when residents are up there, if you need to guide them, you can just look at the sign. Again, like Pippa just said, if there's any doubt that something is compostable or not, then we want you to just tell the resident to throw it out. And that way, there's no issue. While it may seem obvious, no COVID-related waste, wipes, paper masks, or anything like that can be accepted at the food scrap recycling area. Other things that would commonly be a problem, no coffee pods or twist ties, rubber bands, or stickers like the sticker on Chiquita banana, or even the little SKU stickers that come on apples and oranges. Those all have to be pulled off. So if you see that in something that someone's dumping, you want to educate them that that's not acceptable. I guess rubber bands actually used to be made out of a natural product, but now they're all synthetic, so we don't want to have any rubber bands in there. Something that might, you know, come on like a group of spinach or something like that. And make sure that you don't see those in there either. And obviously, no pet waste. Well, maybe it's not that obvious, but we definitely don't want any pet waste in there either.
So residents may need to be directed to the big green bins. And if you suspect a bag is not BPI certified compostable, just ask them politely, can I see that bag before they put it into the green bin? And if you don't see the BPI certification label, then just advise the resident that the bag must be thrown out. But the resident can choose to rip open the bag and put the contents into the green toter. That's perfectly fine. We just don't want the plastic bag ending up in the green toter. So you'll probably be asked questions, and that's fine. We'd love you to answer them. But if you see that there's a really big line to get into the transfer station, we encourage you to keep the answers brief and just offer them a flyer, which hopefully will answer most of the questions, or they can look on the website or contact compost at westportct.gov. One thing to keep in mind is that if you see someone carrying the green transportation bin by that black thing that looks like a handle, it's not actually a handle, it's a lock. And that will break if somebody chooses to carry a heavy container with the handle, and we are not able to replace that. So we're encouraging you to tell the owner, you know, you might not want to do that because it will break. So we're anticipating some of the questions that you'll be asked. Most of them will be like, you know, find out about this. And if you can answer the question, fine. But if you can't, just encourage them to go to sustainablewestport.org or compost at westportct.gov. Another question we anticipate you'll be asked is, will I get to benefit from the food scraps being made into compost? And we hope we will be able to provide that to residents, but it would not be this year, it'd be next year, and funding permitting. And then, as I just mentioned, if somebody carries the container with that black handle, it's probably going to break, and we're not able to replace the handle. And so I just would like to minimize that from happening. Oops.
Okay, so now I'd like to just go over the safety rules. First of all, let's just say everybody should try to use common sense. But when you come into the site, there is an employee parking lot on the left-hand side as you enter the site. So normally on busy days like Saturdays or Mondays, we have traffic agents out there, and you'll have to identify yourself as a volunteer and then park in the employee parking area on the left. It's as you turn into the transfer station, you have to go about 100 feet and then take a left and you can pull into the lot. If you're working with another volunteer, try to meet them at the parking lot and walk to the food scraps drop-off area together. And try to be careful as you're doing that, because people at the transfer station are not always paying attention as to what foot traffic is out there. They're more concerned with dropping off their garbage. So just be careful as you're walking up there. If you're under 18 years of age, or if you're going to be working with someone under 18 years of age, for liability purposes, we have to have that person working with someone who is over 18 or an adult. The town is going to provide safety vests. We would ask you to bring your own face mask for the duration of the COVID virus issue. But upon arrival, there will be transfer station employees working at the drop-off area, not only the food waste drop-off area, but the recycling drop-off area and the general trash drop-off area. So you need to identify yourself to them and ask them for a vest. The vest will say volunteer on it. When you're done with your shift, you're going to return that vest to the employee if you already haven't given it to the next volunteer. You must be wearing a face mask. Everybody at the transfer station right now has to wear a face mask, and you must have closed-toed shoes. I would actually suggest, if you have work boots, to wear work boots. The food scraps recycling area is the first area as you come away from the scale house, if when people drive in. So it's on, if you're looking at the transfer station building, it's on the far right side. And we're asking that the volunteers stay mainly in that area. The transfer station employees have specific things that they have to do walking around the site, but we want you to just stay right there. Your purpose is to educate the public. Obviously, during this coronavirus, we have to maintain a social distance of 6 foot from both the residents and your fellow volunteers and anyone else. For liability reasons, you are not allowed to assist the residents. So a lot of people want to be helpful, but please, just try to speak with them and direct them to where the toters are. The transfer station employees themselves will move the toters around. You certainly, if you see the toter is coming to the 2/3 full level, you want to alert the transfer station employee, and they will move the bins. We have a Public Works union down there, so we want to make sure that we're not violating any of their rules. But they understand that you're there as a volunteer to help educate people during this time period. However, if you see a plastic bag go into the bin inadvertently, or you missed it, we will have those long-handled reachers there, and you can take the reacher and remove the plastic bag from the bin and then throw it into the trash bin. That would not be considered assisting the residents. The problem is if we just let the plastic bag stay there and additional residents come in and drop stuff in, we'll miss it. It'll get buried in the trash. So we want to get those removed as soon as possible.
So to summarize, your job is to make the residents feel comfortable with the food scraps recycling program. And you can answer questions or refer people to the website, or have them email, and you can give them a flyer and tell them that it provides almost all of the information that they might need. And then the other thing is, your job is to politely stop residents from throwing plastic bags into the food scraps toter, and throw away any plastic bags that you do collect into the toter that will be marked garbage. So there'll be a separate toter. If you have any issues during your shift that need immediate attention, go to the transfer station employee. We do not anticipate that happening. So ideally, if there's an issue that can wait, just email us about it, and so we'll know, and that's at compost@westportct.gov. And if you're working the last shift, try to make sure that the plexiglass holder has flyers in it. We're only covering Saturdays at this time, volunteers, so there'll be other days when people will try to find out about the program, and they'll want to take a flyer from the plexiglass holder. And I think those flyers will be, you can ask an employee where to find them, and they'll have them on stock. So to volunteer, we're asking that you contact Zero Waste at sustainablewestport.org. And we're going to have 1-hour shifts, although you can always work more than 1 hour, but they'll be in 1-hour shifts. And just to remember that if you are under age 18, try and find an adult partner that you want to work with. Something that I haven't mentioned before is that we're really only allowing 2 volunteers to work at a time, because the transfer station can get really busy, and if there are too many people there, it could get a little hectic. At this time, if anybody has a question, you can raise your hand, and hopefully Emma will be able to unmute you and answer the question. We'll answer the question. Anyone have a question? Okay. So I just want to cover briefly the last component of the Zero Food Waste program. As many of you are aware, we do have people who are food insecure in this area, and just 2 towns over in Bridgeport, over 25% of the households are food insecure, which means they have to choose between food and some other required element of life, and that's I'm sure the number has gone up significantly since that statistic was provided. So there are 2 ways you can help. One is to download the app Food Rescue US, and you sign up to transport food from one commercial establishment, let's say a school, and bring it to a food service center. And I like this app because you can sign up and then choose to do it when you're available at your convenience. You don't have to commit to a weekly pickup. The other option, which is new this year, is that if you grow food yourself, say at the Westport Community Garden or in your own garden, you can bring food to a designated drop-off area in Westport. That's at Branson Hall at Christ and Holy Trinity, and information about that is available on the Sustainable Westport website. So we've come to the end of this. Just want to say that we couldn't do this program without the volunteers, and I very much appreciate everyone participating and thank them for their involvement.